Hi, my name is Dana Cornelius, and my story started about 7 years ago and ended about 3 years ago. And while my life is completely manageable and back on track, an even better track than I had ever imagined, the experience continues to haunt me to this day. I became my father's caregiver, and as his Alzheimer's disease progressed, so did my sense of duty and dedication to his health and wellness. After his hip surgery and 1 month of rehab was set to expire, I found myself in a position that required a support system, training, and a lot of money, and I completely lacked all three. I needed help to care for him. Actually, I was desperate for help, and so I put an ad out on Craigslist. That was my first mistake. Well, 2 caregivers, and they told me they were married, moved in and slowly took over. The nightmare began. They developed an intimacy with my father, and after a time, it got him to sign a general power of attorney. Then they went to the bank and took out all the money. They locked the doors and wouldn't let me in. They wouldn't even let me visit at first. And I owned the condo. The police were worthless and completely untrained in Alzheimer's disease. He looks fine to me, I remember a police officer said. My life had stopped. Since he was still under nursing care, I arranged a mock nursing visit with an RN from the boarding care, where I was set to get him all snuggled in after I extricated him from the clutches of these criminals. Well, the RN did come over, and thank God they granted her entry, 1 step complete. Next move was to arrange a lunch. So I had my father's best friend from the senior center, where he met and dined every weekday, to come over with his daughter and his grandson. Well, all 3 of them arrived and were granted entry, thank God. Well, the caregiver insisted on joining them for lunch, but the mock and fake RN said, "No, that's okay. I'm an RN." And then the real RN gave him the approval to go to lunch and acted also as a witness. Well, my dad was out. I got a call from the daughter from a nearby coffee shop, and I quickly drove over, sat down, and exhaled. Well, after a brief rest, I took my dad to my brother's in the next county over for an overnight visit, and then the following day I took him to the boarding care, where he was finally safe. Well, dozens of harassing messages flowed in from the caregivers, threatening my life, and lawsuits. I had filed a restraining order from family court, and it was denied. Instead, the judge assigned a power of attorney just for my father, who assigned an attorney for my father, who conducted a thorough investigation. Well, the POA was reversed, Bank of America refunded all the money, and my dad's life was again safe. Meanwhile, the two caregivers were living underneath me in my own property, writing out the eviction notice for 30 days, and living above 2 criminals, and in a justice system that failed me was just about the pinnacle of life in hell. Well, the day they left was the day my life began to resume. But it wasn't a life of a typical single woman. It was daily visits to Dad, to the doctors, to the grocery store, outings. I was his fiduciary, which meant managing government funds, his income, and his pension and Social Security. Caring for my dad was my life. And I'd do it all over again, by the way. Desperate for some peer time, I managed to arrange a trip to my high school reunion. It was there I met a man who became my boyfriend for the next 3 years. The relationship was my rock, and it helped me help my father pass into the next plane. And when my father went home, I went to Bill. And it was then my life had begun and seemed a little bit normal once again. Thank you.